Hello and welcome to my one chunk at a time Ironman. It's kinda like an extreme chunk account with some differences. The main difference is there's no skill capes, there's no pets, and I'm gonna do the lowest level processing required on any resource that's available in my chunks. I'm choosing this rule set because it goes well with the twist of this account, which is that I'm not just gonna be completing chunks by AFKing and doing easy methods, but I'm gonna be trying to speedrun each chunk I get. That means I'm gonna be using alts, I'm gonna be doing tick manipulation, and hopefully I'm gonna try to find new methods that are kinda exciting whenever possible. And before I get into the actual video, I wanna shout out a couple of chunk accounts who really inspired me. First of all, Alex Bailey obviously invented the game mode, and I used to watch her videos when they were coming out, and I really have been wanting to try a chunk account since then. And second of all, Slay Brother was one of my favorite YouTubers for a really long time, and I just wanted to see if I could do Lumbridge faster than he did under the exact same rule set. I also want to give an honorable mention, or maybe a dishonorable mention, to Frosty Bard, because this moment has had me thinking about making an account like this for years now, just due to how absurd it was.
I even tried tick manipulation with a knife and some logs. It works. Sometimes. But so far, the most reliable method that I stumbled onto is by far the stupidest one. Spam click the rock until I get the silver. You see, on December...
That's not how it works. So I'm going to be starting the account in Lumbridge, and there's a couple grinds with this rule set. First of all, I need 60 woodcutting to chop you logs. I need 60 firemaking to burn them and 60 fletching to fletch them. I also need to get 20 attack to wield a mithril battle axe. Other than that, there's a bunch of drops I need to get, and there's a couple quests I need to start, a couple diary tasks, and I also need to do some level 1 skilling tasks. So overall, the vast majority of this chunk is just going to be woodcutting, fletching, and firemaking. That's the big three. And that's it. I'm now in Lumbridge, and I'm not going to be leaving until I have all of my tasks done. So I'm gonna get myself my Ironman armor and a training sword. And after that, I'm gonna be training my strength to level 6 on imps, and that's a quick training sword. Next, I'm gonna get myself a training bow and some training arrows, which I kinda don't know how I'm gonna get. Okay, so the runes were a failure. The next order of business is going to get some leather boots, and that should be in the Lumbridge basement. And that's my leather boots. I now have all of the items I can get immediately. So next, I would like to get a blue wizard hat from imps, and to do that, I'm gonna start training strength on the imps. I'm gonna stop at level 6 and go to training my attack, and let's see whichever comes first. Okay, so new plan. This imp takes forever to respawn, so what I'm going to be doing is going between this imp and the men that are over there. And the men should give me at least a bronze med helm. They might also give me some other item, and I think that's an iron dagger, but I'll check once I have the bronze med helm, because I know for sure that that comes from men. I fucked up my recording, but I have level 6 strength now, and I'm going to switch over to attack, since I still max hit at 2 even on accurate. So my math skills aren't quite perfect, but I'm training prayer at a far faster rate than I initially thought, and that means that attack is pretty much useless until level 20, which is the chunk task. So what I'm gonna be doing now is switching back over to strength, since I get additional max hits at a slightly faster pace once I unlock the first strength boosting prayer. So that's gonna be a bit of flicking, but it's not all that bad, and the timings are super lenient because of how slowly it trains prayer points. So I can't get replay buffer working for whatever reason, but I got an iron dagger drop from a man, which is my best insult for magic, and I also got some runes. So that's going to be the chunk task of casting a wind spell. Now, I've already done it 2 times, but because of the replay buffer issues, I couldn't capture it on camera. So for those who want to see every single task completion, here's Wind Strike. So there we go. So I got a blue wizard hat, so here it is on the ground for those who want to see it on the ground, but that's my other best in slot for magic and the only reason I was killing imps. So now I just need a bronze helm from the men, and after that I just need to start killing goblins. That's my first step on the account and the only one that's really gonna lose time. So I have to go through the dev tutorial, and after that it's just going to be a free full heal. And that's level 12 strength. So now I'm gonna be flicking a burst of strength every single attack I do, and I'm gonna keep doing that until level 13 strength, so just 1 level. And that's the bronze made helm, and that's it for men. Here's the bronze helm on the ground, pick it back up, and I'm going to goblins, and I just need a bronze square shield now. So that's the bronze square shield. Again, dropping it for people who wanna see it. Here's it on the ground, but from now on I only need to get to level 20 attack, and then that's combat done for Lumbridge. Since I just got 15 strength, it's time to train the 20 attack, and that's just gonna be flicking bursts of strength over and over and over again until I get 20 attack, and picking up whatever loot the men drop. Pretty much, that's it. So I did a bit more research on chunk rules, and apparently I do need more drops from imps. I need an egg and I need a pot of flour, so that should hopefully happen before level 20 attack, and I'm really glad I checked now. I can also get some quick tasks done, and I can check my age at Hans, which is a diary task, and I can also pickpocket the man, which is another diary task. So that's my first successful pickpocket, and I'm gonna go back to imps now. Okay, that's my first XP lamp from a genie random. Now, normal chunk accounts would use it on something like Slayer. However, I really don't want to unlock any new grinds, and I think the safest thing to lamp for me right now would be smithing, and that's for 2 reasons. First of all, most things that would unlock a smithing grind also unlock a mining grind, and secondly, smithing is generally more annoying to train than mining. So that's what my labs are gonna go on, and yeah, I'm gonna get smithing levels up to some point, and then, I don't know, I'll figure out what to lamp next. So that's level 20 attack, and I did not manage to get either of the drops I needed from imps. Now, I could spend more time killing imps, but that requires wild hopping, chasing after them, all that stuff, and it's simply gonna be easier to kill whichever imp I see while I'm woodcutting. So this means that from now on, I'm gonna go switch over to woodcutting, and that's gonna be the first new method that I can showcase on this account. So first of all, I'm going to need an iron axe and a steel axe, and then I need to get to an area that has a bunch of normal trees next to each other. Okay, so there's really not any good area where I can show this off when it comes to normal trees. This part of the leveling grind is just gonna be kinda annoying. But the thing I can show off is the bonfire strat. So for the first 43 levels of firemaking, you have a fail chance when you're using regular tinderbox type of firemaking. But with a bonfire, you have a 0% fail chance. So up until level 30, it's actually more efficient to train firemaking on a bonfire and just completely avoid making new fires altogether. So I'm just gonna be getting up to level 50 in firemaking and woodcutting and going between all of these tiny normal trees, and hopefully it doesn't take that much time, although this is going to be by far the most annoying part of this entire chunk. And that is level 15 firemaking, so next order of business is level 15 fletching, and I still have to stick to these normal trees, unfortunately. So even if fletching, there's a small optimization to be made, and that is to never be fletching when you could be doing something else. So I'm only going to be fletching here when I'm walking between the trees or when I'm waiting on the trees to respawn. So that should basically make fletching not take up any of the time that I could have been woodcutting. And that's gonna make the XP just a tiny bit faster, but it doesn't really matter with the normal logs anyways, because, it's pretty fast as is. So I discovered something interesting with fletching, which is you can kinda use it to tick manipulate. So by starting a fletching action, you're starting a 4 tick action, which is the same speed as it takes to cut a tree. So that's almost never going to be relevant for anything. However, since I have to run to the tree, there's a bit of time before I reach the tree. So if I start fletching during that period of time, it means that I can basically start chopping the tree before I even see the tree. So like right here, for example, it didn't work because I failed to chop. But yeah, it's like a super marginal time save that really doesn't matter, but it's kinda neat to find out new things while doing a new type of account. So I'm just now remembering that there's actually a log spawn in Lumbridge, which obviously there is. So maybe just, cutting normal trees isn't a great idea. However, it does give me woodcutting experience, which is going to speed up future grinds. And maybe it's worth it to get a higher success rate on oak trees, even if that does mean taking a time loss in the short term. Because I feel like I could probably be done fletching way faster if I did that. But I don't personally enjoy wild hopping methods, and hopefully, I'm not losing like hours doing this, but it is kind of fun. Actually, just like putting gold optimizations into play is like pretty enjoyable for me. But yeah, that's level 9 fletching, so now I'm going to be able to make stocks, which is my first XP increase since level 1. So I'm just gonna keep chopping, and level 15 should be pretty soon, because level 10 doubles the XP I had until now, so I'm more than halfway there. And that is level 10 fletching, which means I can start making longbows and actually getting some experience in this skill. I managed to somehow skip through it, but there's level 15 fletching, and I can finally move on to oaks and do the actual method I've been wanting to do. So my alt is entity hidden here, but if I do this on the account, it can spawn a pile of snow, and I can just free tick. This is available to any account, by the way. You just need an alt that has done the Christmas event, and you unlock free tick woodcutting straight off the tutorial island. I hope you enjoyed the montage. I don't know if I'll keep doing them, but this is kind of a difficult method to learn with like absolutely zero experience. Just having to keep the alt up is just like surprisingly difficult, because whenever the snow pile hits 6 is when you want to click on the alt, and if you also have to click on the main, it's somewhat hard to actually keep track of like exactly where you are in the cycle. And yeah, I mean, it's a fun method, but it's like way harder than I thought it would be. And that is level 30 firemaking, so I'm gonna move on to fletching, which is a bit more boring, but it's still gonna be fun. And that is going to be level 20 fletching, which means I can start making short bows, and that's another 60% increase to my XP per hour. I completely missed it, but that is 25 fletching, which means I can start making long bows, which is actually like insane experience compared to everything that I've been doing. But yeah, it's actually been super fun to do the fletching grind. I was actually expecting it to be boring, but all the dropping in between ticks and just trying to maintain efficiency has made like a super chill, super fun grind. I need to kill that imp over there. So that's going to be level 30 fletching, but I still should not do Willows, and that's because it's actually less fletching XP per hour, and I think for right now, the most important thing is to get as much fletching XP per hour as possible, because my woodcutting level is so much higher. It's not like I'm going to be like bottlenecked by woodcutting, and I would rather do the highest fletching XP per hour method possible and then do willows later when I hit 40 to be able to make a willow longbow. Also, I'm not making shields like consistently. I just wanted to test out how long they take to make, and I never knew it, but they take 7 ticks, so they're just lower XP per hour than making longbows for no reason. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. It would have been nice to drop slightly less, but you know, it's not a big deal. Okay, so my inventory is pretty full and I have the bank. I'm at 43 woodcutting and I still have a bunch of fletching to go. I'm at 33, but I thought I would get a quick chunk task done while I'm running to the bank and see if I can cook a raw chicken. I have a couple banked and it should be a 50% success rate, and that should be a chunk task done if I manage to do that. So I'm gonna grab some out of my bank. I'm gonna put this lamp on smithing and see how the raw chicken goes. Okay, third try. So that's a chunk task done, and I am going back to willows. And this should be 40 fletching. It took a while, but I can finally move on to willows. Now, with willows, I'm gonna start by selling some of the longbows. I don't think I'll be doing it all the way to 60, because I just don't think it's like super worth my time. However, I do need to buy a mithril battle axe. That's a chunk task. So I need to make about 1700 more GP, and that should be a pretty fast endeavor. And after that, I'm just gonna focus on 60 fletching and finishing that task off. And that is the mithril battle axe, which is another chunk task. Why did I say that so weird? Whatever. So I think I'm gonna do like a 15-minute test with the rates on screen to see what the experience I'm getting here per hour is. And yeah, it's gonna get higher over time, of course, because, you know, my woodcutting level is gonna go up. But I don't think it's gonna get like that much drastically higher. And it's gonna be fun to find out how long I'm gonna be stuck fletching for. So I made a bunch of mistakes in that hour, and I was still holding about 17k fletching XP per hour, and that should mean that this is only gonna take about 12 hours level 60, which is not that bad, all things considered. Especially, I mean, I was already accounting for the fact that it's gonna get faster, but I just don't know by how much faster it's gonna get. But yeah, I'm expecting about a 12-hour grind for fletching, which is really not a big deal. So I have played for 8 hours today, and I think I'm gonna call it here. At this pace, I think this chunk is gonna take me about 4 days in total to complete. And yeah, I mean, I guess I just log out and wait until tomorrow to log back in. But that's pretty good progress for one day. I'm at 45 fletching, 51 woodcutting, 30 firemaking, and it doesn't seem that bad, all in all. Sorry about the washing machine noises, but that's level 60 woodcutting, so I could go cut a yew tree right now, but you know, I'm just gonna finish off fletching and firemaking first. I'm at level 54 fletching, so I'm more than halfway done. Good morning, gamers. I just killed a random imp, and that's the egg. So the only thing I need from imps at this point is a pot of flour, and hopefully I'll manage to finish that off semi-passively. I do have an imp method in mind, so the grind is gonna be super fast when it comes to in-game time, but real-time wise, it's gonna take a fairly substantial amount. However, with all that being said, I'm at level 55 fletching now, and I think I should be able to hit level 60 today. Now, I have been dealing with an arm injury for about a year, so I don't know how long I'll actually be playing today, but there's a pretty decent chance that I'm gonna be done with fletching, and the method I have for firemaking is gonna be super cool, and I'm super excited to try it. And that is 60 fetching, by far the longest grind in this entire chunk. So I'm at 21 hours and 12 minutes, which is a pretty decent time. So for right now I'm gonna set up for the imp grind. What that means is this account, the chunk account, is gonna be killing the imps in this part of the castle. And I'll set up my ult in the chunk boundary because the imps love teleporting there. And between imp kills, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log out. What I did before was I killed the men over there, and that was because it's free combat XP. However, I don't really need combat XP anymore, so what I can do is I can log out and essentially save about 12ish seconds per kill when it comes to in-game time. So I'll set up my ult, I'll start killing the imps, and that should be a pretty fast grind when it comes to in-game time. So I'm about 2x on the Willow flower now, and it's been 30 minutes-ish of injury lifetime and 15 minutes-ish of in-game time. So I'm basically speeding this grind up by about 2 times compared to what it would be if I just sat here killing imps. Okay, I didn't capture this on recording, but this time it wasn't just because I'm lazy. Normally it's just because I'm lazy. But I actually was so zoned out. I've gone about 4 times the rate for this pot of flour. It's been insane. I've been doing this for, let's see, about 3 hours. Just logging in and out killing imps. So I think I just have to give the cook an egg and a pot of flour. And that's the chunk task done. I'm gonna go do the rest of the super easy chunk tasks, because, it would be nice to get them all out of the way, so when I do actually go chop those 2 yew logs, it's like properly done. So the next thing I have to do is I have to shear a sheep, but on the way there I can also pick up Priest in Peril and X marks the spot. And that's, it's the Restless Ghost. And that's X marks the spot. That's a wool, not a ball yet, but it will be. And that's Rune Mysteries. So I just have to go spin the wool. That's a self-made ball of wool. I already have a bunch. That's the first step of X marks the spot. And that's every single chunk task done except for 60 firemaking. So I'm estimating that 60 firemaking is gonna take about 6 hours. And my goal from the start has been a sub 30 finish. And I think that's super doable. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'm gonna go start on that, and I'm super excited for the method. I'm super excited for just learning something new in this game. I've played for just an unimaginable amount of time, but I've never done any of the methods I'm doing on this account. So that's gonna be so fun, because I've heard it's one of the more difficult methods in the game, which is really exciting for me. Okay, so I'm gonna try my best to explain this method, and it's kinda really complicated to explain, and it's also hard to execute, which is a pretty bad combination of things. Okay, so I'm going to pull a rat, and I have a training bow equipped on the rapid style. So what that means is whenever the rat attacks me, I basically start a 2-tick action, and I have a pile of snow next to me, which I can use to start a 3-tick action. And what this allows me to do is a hybrid method between 2-tick and 3-tick, which is called 2.66-tick. So this is the method I've been wanting to do for the entire chunk. It was invented by a free-to-play Iron Man called Tanner Dino. Now this wouldn't work with fletching, because fletching needs to open up a dialogue box, and if I have a rat daggered on me, that closes the dialog box. So this is a method that's only possible with firemaking or just woodcutting, but isn't super viable with fletching. I think the most likely chunk finish time is 30 hours and 30 minutes now, which is still pretty good, but like the huge imp grind kinda did a number, and I'm getting slightly less XP than I expected from this method, which makes sense because I was assuming that making the fires would take as long as fletching the longbows, but firemaking is a 4-tick action and fletching longbows is a 3-tick action. So what that means is that this is gonna take slightly longer than I assumed, and it's by just enough that I'm gonna miss the 30-hour mark. But all in all, 30 hours and 30 minutes is still a pretty reasonable target, even though, it's not quite ideal. Okay, so there's a really slim chance that the sub 30 dream is still alive. That's 60 firemaking, and I need to go chop 2 U-logs, which is gonna be fairly difficult since the success rate in use is so low. Okay, first U-log, that's a chunk task done. Second U-log, okay, I need to burn this, and then I need to get a knife real quick. I think the general store is gonna be slightly faster than the bank. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna make the call. General store, get myself a knife. Okay, that's 5 knives. It doesn't matter. So I just need to fletch some arrow shafts, and that's the final chunk task done. So now I need to find Hans, and I might have hit the sub 30. I don't know at all. Okay, there we go. Age. Okay, sub 30, 12 minutes. Okay, that's massive. I was so afraid I wasn't gonna make it, but that's the sub 30. Now, if someone played perfectly, I think a sub 24 is possible with like amazing RNG. But I'll take sub 30. My goal was to show off some cool methods, learn some new methods, and try to complete Lumbridge in under 30 hours. And I managed to achieve all of them. Okay. That's huge. That's massive. Okay, I suppose I should do some wrap up. My greatest inspiration for playing a chunk account was the YouTuber known as Slay Brother, and he finished Lumbridge in 53 hours, so I managed to save a lot of time compared to that run. And yeah, even though a perfect run would be a lot faster, even an imperfect run, sub 30, it's good. I'm super happy with that. Now, when it comes to the future of this account, I am going to play more eventually, but I don't currently have a timeline on when I'm gonna roll a chunk, when I'm gonna do an episode, whatever. If this video gets 50 likes, the day it gets 50 likes, I'm gonna roll a chunk, I'm gonna stream it, and then we're gonna figure out new methods for the new chunk. So if I look at the world map, I think this chunk is a cooking grind, which I don't know how I would handle, like immediately, but I think there could be something cool to be done. It doesn't really matter, it's gonna be somewhat boring, I think, but, there's still some cool stuff to do with cooking, I suppose. Now, this chunk is gonna be, I think, just fishing, so I just have to fish anchovies. And there's a cool fishing method, which I don't know if I'm gonna try for, I think that's 15 fishing. I don't know if that's worth it. But yeah, that's something I could do. Maybe I need to make some bronze armor, in which case that would be kind of fun. But even then, this chunk isn't really anything. So this chunk, I think, with the gem shop, makes me have to do a crafting grind entirely on this corner of sheep. So again, I'm not super sure, how far I can optimize that, but I think there's some cool stuff here maybe. and just doing the crafting grind would be fun enough. And I don't really know what this chunk unlocks. I think it's just thieving the thief ham members. So again, super basic grinds. But when you look at one chunk beyond what I have available, here's the mithril grind, which would be super fun, actually. I don't think this is like something people have explored, and I would be super happy to grind up to like the mithril and daddy and like do all the math on that, figure out the methods. There's another mithril and daddy grind here, but this has silver, which is, I think, gonna be the fastest method for training smithing. And it also has iron, but I don't think the iron is like particularly relevant. So I would much prefer this chunk because of the smithing. So this would be kind of a cool chunk to theory craft. I'm actually super excited for this chunk. And if I get a combination of, I think, this chunk and this chunk, that's gonna be Brutus, which again is kind of fun. So just in the near term, there's some fun stuff I really want to try. And in the long term, I mean, this account could go anywhere. But yeah, 50 likes, and I roll a new chunk immediately. Otherwise, I'll just play this account whenever I feel like it. But I'm bored on my main Iron Man, and, you know, don't really have anything I'm excited for. But yeah, that's gonna be it. It was a pretty cool run. I had so much fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.